I really think that maybe in 10 years there is a new profession, and it is for people who operate a mental fitness center. So like now, today, we go to this fitness to stay fit, yeah, physically, because our work doesn't require to do any physical effort anymore, at least for the white collar job. But in the future, we might need less brain power to do our work, because we can ask AI, summarize this document for me of 100 pages in 5 pages, or write a proposal that goes about this and that. Yeah, so we can be much more productive, but if we don't take care, we lose faculties of our brain.
The following is a conversation with Dr. Richard Benjamins. He is co-founder and vice president of Spanish Observatory for Ethical and Social Impacts of AI. Until March 2024, he was Chief Responsible AI Officer at Telefonica and also founder of its Society and Environment area. He has also been among 100 most influential people in data-driven business as per Data IQ 100 in 2018. This is Sanjeev Ranjan podcast, and here is Richard Benjamins. Hi Richard, we are here to discuss about impact of AI and how it's going to co-evolve with human, with our civilization in current scenario and in the future. So first of all, thanks very much for coming to my podcast, and could you please enlighten us with your knowledge, your expectation of how we as a human can co-evolve with artificial intelligence in the future? I mean, how the picture is going, a big picture is going to look like, let's say 5 years or 10 years from now in our day-to-day life, how we will be experiencing that merger of AI with human intelligence.
Okay, thank you, Sanjeev. It's a pleasure to be here on your podcast, and I'm sure we'll have an interesting conversation. Actually, you ask a very tough question, yeah? So how will people and AI co-evolve in the next 5 or 10 years? Nobody knows, yeah, but of course I can give my opinion about this. There are many trends, yeah, that we can distinguish in here. One is, I think AI will be a tool for people to improve whatever they do, yeah. So this can be in the labor sphere, in the work sphere, in terms of productivity. It can be in the creative sphere, people making music or painting. So anything that you can think about can be supported by artificial intelligence, because it's a transversal technology and is also a very transformational technology. Yeah. So that's one trend that is in a positive direction. There might be one risk, which is that if we rely too much on artificial intelligence for processes that require normally effort, we might get lazy, yeah, in our brain. I really think that maybe in 10 years there is a new profession, and it is for people who operate a mental fitness center. So like now, today, we go to this fitness to stay fit, yeah, physically, because our work doesn't require to do any physical effort anymore, at least for the white collar job. But in the future, we might need less brain power to do our work, because we can ask AI, summarize this document for me of 100 pages in 5 pages, or write a proposal that goes about this and that. Yeah, so we can be much more productive, but if we don't take care, we lose faculties of our brain. Yeah, so that's on the productive side.
But do you see any solution for that? That we can make AI as our assistant also, or our buddy also, who can help us, and at the same time we can somehow retain our that critical thinking ability or judgment capability.
Yeah, so I don't think it's about critical thinking. Yeah, I think we will become better in critical thinking, because we need to be able to distinguish between synthetic generated content and real content, so that our critical thinking will not decline, but our, let's say, intellectual capacity could diminish. No? Now, what do we need to do? We need to keep exercising our brains. Yeah? So you see this in elderly people who are getting maybe Alzheimer, yeah, or becoming dementious. then what they usually do is do brain exercises like Sudokus or crossword puzzles, just to keep the brain active. And that is probably what we need to do. Now, we can do that on many different things. We don't have to do it on boring job stuff, but we can do it on other things. So as long as we are aware, there is not such a danger. But if you think, if I ask you, do you still know the phone number of the people you talk to usually?
No,
Probably not, yeah? So it's
only couple of them
yeah.
accept that. No, I
So
don't remember.
I know the phone numbers when I first lived with my parents when I was 15 years old, and maybe a few years later, but I don't know any phone number. So as you say, if the phone gets down and you are in an emergency situation, you don't even know who to call. Yeah, so that's already something we can envision that in some situations that might cause serious problems. Yeah, and if you don't have any fallback beyond this, so some people say that artificial intelligence will become like electricity. Yeah. So you just plug it from somewhere and it's available. Now imagine what happens if the electricity goes down. Yeah,
Exactly.
nothing works anymore today, and that's a problem. Yeah, security is a big problem in those cases. So imagine if we do the same with AI, then not even the basic things, yeah, but even higher level things will also be not working anymore. And especially if this technology, not at the personal level, but is in critical infrastructure and things go wrong, well, that can be really a danger. Yeah, I think that's one thing. I think there is another mega trend on artificial intelligence in the future.
Before we move forward, how do you see we or other companies or governments solving this problem?
I think in the education, yeah, in the education institutions, when kids are young, this has to be worked on, yeah. So kids need to be aware of the risks. But at the moment, nothing is happening in this space. So if they try to reduce the use of, for instance, mobile phones, it's mostly for interfering, yeah, with the classroom situation. It's not so much because they don't think if they use mobile phones, yeah. It's more basically attention. So it draws all their attention from the class through the mobile phone. So I think at the moment, nobody is thinking and actually taking this risk as a serious risk in the sense of what should we do to prevent this from happening or what should we do. Now, over time, I think this will go very gradually. The first thing I think, but now I'm thinking aloud, yeah. I think that parents and teachers of younger children will notice that without interaction of AI, their performance will be less than normal, and they might bring them to specific schools or academies in their free time to catch up on those capabilities. And then slowly it will move and it will become more aware, and it might, as we said, create new jobs in the future. But that's just thinking in the future, and nobody knows what will happen.
Yeah, true. And you were also mentioning about another point.
Yeah, I think one of a high level trend is that currently the most powerful artificial intelligence is in the hands of very few large companies because they have huge capacities, they have huge brain power. Here, there is still a lot of brain power to build all kinds of systems. They have also lots of data to train systems on, and of course they can access data on the internet. Now that creates a lot of influence and power to those companies, and sometimes bigger than governance. Yeah, those companies have billions of people. They speak about a percentage of the full world population, and they also accrue a lot of wealth coming from this technology. Yeah. So I think one of the trends is that the divide between the rich and the poor will become more and more extreme if nothing happens within countries in a few actors, companies, and also between countries. So there will be the haves and the don't haves countries, so there will be producers of the technology and there will be consumers of this technology. Power will become less balanced. Yeah. So I think that is also a problem that I think many people are thinking about it, but we don't see any concrete actions.
Yeah, true. And yeah, probably people are just waiting. Let's implement it. Let's the thing happen, power imbalance, and then they will take the action. Probably world is used to of this process rather than taking precautionary action beforehand, and that's going to create some chaos in that transition period. because a lot of changes in the political system, as you said, global taxation on big companies to redistribute the big wealth generated by AI in other countries where AI is not that prevalent. How that will happen? I think governments should start thinking from now only, rather than when it will already create some imbalance and impact billions of people.
But it's not an easy problem, yeah, because we live in a world of a liberal economy,
Yeah, true.
and so it's the market that decides.
Yeah, maybe a restructuring is required there.
Yeah, but those are big questions, yeah.
Yeah, and how do you see a global organization coming up only for AI and then try to, and countries abiding with that centralized global organization and then following the rules and to regulate the AI globally and give it a right direction, and also think about the topics which we just discussed about solving the imbalance in the society and some other problems created, like how to balance the jobs also in different countries, because in USA we can expect more jobs coming, or other countries which are on the forefront of AI, and other countries where there are all the things will be automated. A lot of people will go unemployed. And for retraining them to be able to adapt with AI, some money will be required. So a lot of redistribution and restructuring will be required. And do you think that most of the countries will agree for creation of a global organization where experts from multiple countries can come together with politician leaders also, and then they can brainstorm on this, and then and based on some rules or policy of that organization, and they can enforce some global policies?
I am, let's say, hopeful about creating a global AI governance institution. It will definitely not be easy because of the geopolitical situation in three big, yeah, or four or five blocks. Yeah, so US, China, Europe, India, and maybe Africa, and Asia, and they have very different interests, especially Europe, the US, and China and Russia as well. So from that perspective, it's hard to get a global AI governance. But if you look at UNESCO, so UNESCO's ethical AI recommendation has been signed by 193 countries. So 193 countries include Russia, China, Iran, US. So that's hopeful in the sense that at least they have signed a document that they will look at those things. And all of those things are what we discussed about are in that recommendation. Now, this is a recommendation that you adhere to, but there is no sanction whatsoever if you don't comply. Yeah. So for that we need regulation. Yeah. Now we recently had the European regulation finalized and it will be approved. It will take 2 years. Yeah, before it will enter into force with sanctions. But still, it is an important movement. In the US, also regulatory things are happening. In India, I think as well, in Brazil as well. So there might be an opportunity to come together on responsible use of this technology in terms of discrimination, in terms of oversight, in terms of what is high risk and not. But I don't think there will be an economic agreement on how to distribute the wealth across different countries. I think that's very hard.
Yeah, to me also, that when I think of that, then I do not see governments agreeing for that, because currently when I see the world, then I see that the powerful countries want to become more and more powerful, and AI is one of the tool or technology which is going to make powerful more powerful.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I
that's it.
agree. So there is another thing that you mentioned, yeah, about labor and about work. Yeah.
Yes.
I think everybody sees about potential new jobs being created in the countries that are active producers of this technology, like AI engineers, machine learning engineers, etc. Then we speak a lot about automation and, let's say, the lower skilled people losing their jobs. But there's actually a third part of this which is not often discussed about, and that's the people behind AI. Yeah. the people behind an AI in it, if AI doesn't work well, there are still people needed. Now, think about this simply tagging images. This is a cat, this is a person. So there are people around the world who compare two images for, let's say, 0.005 cents, and they click a lot on that during any time of the day, and they make a living. A very, not a good living, but sometimes a better living than if they didn't have that. Now, if you look at that, where that happens, then those algorithms are developed in rich countries, but the people who are actually correcting AI systems or making them learn, they are actually oftentimes in low-income countries, and they are actually paid very well in bad conditions. There is a whole book about it, which is called Ghost Work. And for instance, it tells the story that in some countries, if you are an Amazon driver, and an Uber driver, then for security reasons, before the driver gets in the car, he has to take a photo. And that is because of safety, because there is a certain driver who drives in the car, and that is a certain, let's say, trusted area. But if a different person drives the car, the whole security chain breaks. So you have to take a photo, and that photo is sent to an AI algorithm to check whether it's the same person, the same driver as the registered driver. Now imagine that you have a beard. It recognizes you every day, but then you decide to shave your beard. And it might be that your face is not recognized. Now, and then in real time, those two photos are sent to a platform like Amazon Mechanical Turk, where usually actually many people in India or in Asia are just waiting to see, and it goes in real time to a person. A person has to check, earns maybe 5 cents, and then in real time goes back, and the driver can drive. So AI is very good, but it's not perfect, and AI learns from data sets, and data sets need to be annotated before AI can learn from it. For instance, if you look at generative AI, ChatGPT or others, if you ask them, you can ask them everything, but if you ask them, how can I build a bomb, or how can I torture people, it actually says that he doesn't give you an answer. It says he's not trained for that information. He cannot give you an answer. But in order for that to happen, there need to be people who have annotated content that it's actually about torturing, or it's about creating bombs. So people have needed to done that in a significant amount. And those jobs are usually not done in the US, or in the high income countries, but in the low income countries. So apart from the risk of being employed, there is also an imbalance in the high level jobs, the jobs that create AI, and then the low level jobs and the lowly paid jobs that actually are also needed for AI. So there's a whole ecosystem around labor and work if we speak about the future of AI.
But overall, if you see more jobs being created or less jobs, or if there will be less jobs, then what other people who will get unemployed because of AI adoption, what they are going to do?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, there are many opinions and nobody knows, But of course, there will be new jobs, and probably most of them we don't know, because today, 60% of the jobs didn't exist like 60 years ago. We don't know what kind of jobs will be created. We probably know what kind of jobs will disappear, or the types of jobs, but the majority of jobs will change. They will not disappear, but they will change of nature, and that's because a job, and there is a reference database. A job consists of tasks, and usually a job consists between 15 and 50 and 150 tasks. Now, if you automate 60 of the 100 tasks, that means that the job is still there, but it's a different job. So I think that will happen quite a lot. And then for the jobs that disappear, the workers that are displaced, then of course something needs to happen, because sometimes this happens so fast that there is no time to upskill them or to train them. And I think that's definitely a place for governance, where they have to step in, and because that's a political decision what you do in that case.
That's very interesting for us to see how how the whole job situation is going to change and evolve with AI adoption. And one very interesting fact I heard about this, that and the overall population of European countries and some other countries are not growing that fast, and amount of work is increasing. And in that way, AI could be very good because a lot of European population are aging, and that means we need more people, and AI can help us as an extra hand fulfill that gap.
Yeah, definitely. So there is you have the baby boomer generation, yeah, which are all about to retire, and that creates a big gap in the labor market, and oftentimes there are not enough people, yeah, to substitute them. But then there is also AI to try to fill to solve that problem. But yeah, those are things that are in the air. There will be big changes, but actually articulating in advance how they will be exactly is quite hard.
Yeah. How do you see? So in with AI, intelligent is gone to machine. Intelligence is gone to algorithm and machine. And then how do you see people getting benefited from that? Of course, we get some efficiency at a business side and some social help also using AI tools. That will be one thing, but in that process we will be using less intelligence. And will we get more time to think about life in general, to have more family time? Because AI is going to help us complete our task in less amount of time. And then we have more family time or more personal time for living life or making it more joyful and having time for creating even wisdom to actually choose the right goals where we can use technology like AI. So how you see the balance between wisdom and intelligence in people or in society in general going to change with AI adoption?
And it's another very profound, profound question. I think if AI can help us do many things, of course, who wouldn't want to have a weekend of 3 or 4 days, yeah? And then spend more time to wisdom or solving large problems or family or actually helping and caring for other people who need it. So I think nobody disagrees with that. The question is, will those people earn the same salary if they work less and maintain productivity? So that is the main question, because if you say, okay, you can work 3 days of work, but you get 40% less of your salary, then a lot of people will not be able to afford that. So this is the same question. It's very related to how wealth is distributed. Yeah. So if you can maintain productivity, you can maintain profits, but you need less labor to do it. Now, who is profiting from that? Let's say, is the company becoming more profitable because they need less people to do the same or even to do more? Yeah. Do you keep paying the people the same amount of money even they have to do less?
Maybe everybody should get the benefit of that, because if AI is so it's going to generate so immense wealth, and that means everybody should get benefited some or other way. I don't know, that's how.
Yeah, but I mean, it should, yeah. But who will make it happen, if at all? Yeah, that's the question. So I don't see that happen today, yeah, unless you ask what they call a robot tax. Yeah? So if you use automation with artificial intelligence and robots, for doing that, you pay an extra tax. That money is going to a situation where then this money can be for distribute the wealth, yeah, to people who used to work. But these are very big things, yeah, and I don't see them happening in the economy where we live today. Now there is another aspect to this, yeah, because not everybody wants to have more time to think or to spend on family, because working today is also a philosophy of life, yeah. So many people define themselves by the work they do, and that means if you take that away, then you take away kind of maybe the purpose of life of those people. Yeah? What do you live for? I can say, yeah, I love to make poetry, I love to make music, yeah, but what are you actually doing in your daily work? Yeah? And then if you don't do anything, then people start, it's a kind of strange. So there is also a cultural change about how to go about time when it is not needed that everybody in the world works. Yeah? And of course, people want to work because they want to support their families. And that is a very important thing today still. Yeah. in the world. So if you break that, so what do you give people in return?
Yeah, and that's quite interesting point. But there is another aspect here in the same interplay between wisdom and intelligence, that people will be losing contacts with their co-workers or colleagues because there will be a lot of machines involved. So it could be that human interaction among society in general will decrease, and that's also required for wisdom to flourish, to wisdom to come, not only having free time with family members. So probably in this race of adopting AI as a technology and being involved with it so much that people just get addicted to this, and then the overall wisdom of the society goes down with that. So
Yeah, but that's for me, it's too much doom thinking. So I don't think that that has to happen, yeah, or should happen. I mean, if we become more dependent on AI, we have more time. Maybe workers start chatting more to each other because they have more time to do interaction with other people, and therefore become more effective in
yeah,
out of the box problem
yeah,
solving.
yeah.
I don't know.
And that brings me to my next question, that how do will the time which will be freed up because of AI adoption, where those time you see going, will that extra time will get replaced by the work, or again there will be new work, and because of the because competition will increase in the market, and it's like there will be additional work people have to do, and then the situation will remain like current scenario, or it will be different.
Well, if there is no change in the philosophy and the economy, people will just do more. They will keep on working 5 days a week, and they will just do more. That's how it goes, yeah.
About the artificial general intelligence, in how many years you see it coming, because all the AI technologies are coming a bit earlier than expected. What is your expectation when AGI will be finally fully functional or will be
But
implemented?
for this, we have to define what is artificial general intelligence, because it can mean different things. So what is your definition of this?
That they will have human like ability to do multiple, to achieve multiple goals. So currently all the AI systems are for specific goals, and with AGI they will need less direction from us, and they will be more autonomous. There will be some control, but there will be some freedom also given to them, and then they can do multiple tasks like we do as human, not a specific goal.
So usually, artificial general intelligence is defined as that a machine can do everything we do, everything, not just a few things. Yeah. So what you just said, you said human-like, yeah, not specific tasks, but more tasks, many tasks, and more autonomous. Yeah. But there is so much more to being a human. Yeah. I mean, we can think about ourselves, we can be happy with ourselves, we can reflect on our actions. We have a lot of common sense reasoning that we've never seen or never learned, but we deduce it from what we know already. We can be angry, we can cheat, we can lie, we may say things and think completely different things. If you speak about artificial general intelligence, about that, just doing the same things as we do, then I think it's still very far away, and I'm not sure that it will even be there. Yeah. If we look now at artificial general intelligence, so there was narrow AI, yeah, it was a specific tasks, visual recognition, face recognition, and predictive maintenance. You had to entrain with specific data for that system to do a very intellectual task, medical diagnosis. Then we had generative AI, which you can use for several things. They call it also general purpose AI. You can use it for making summaries, responding to questions, extracting the right information, create music. So you can do it, the same technology, the same model for many different things. But then the next step to have, as we are, having a conversation, being able to change a lot of things, being very robust to what is being said. Well, I don't think that is easy to achieve with the current technology. I think we need several breakthroughs, like we had in the past. Also recently with generative AI, there was a unexpected breakthrough, but we still need several of them in order to reach that state of general intelligence like human. Yeah. Now, when we can have a machine that is human-like in the sense of how it responds, how it reacts, it can do many tasks, and it can also be more autonomous. I think that might be a few years, but I would not call that artificial general intelligence. It's just the next step on the journey to artificial general intelligence. And I think it is, I'm not saying that it's impossible to create artificial general intelligence, but neither do I say that it's possible. I'm not certain whether it's possible at all. Yeah? I mean, we are here, we are people, we can do all those things. We have human intelligence, and sometimes we have human stupidity, but we come from nothing. Yeah? We come from small cells, and we've grown. Yeah? We've evolved over billions of years, and here we are, and we've actually evolved in a random way. Now the question is, if you not evolve in a random way, but in a very designed and targeted way, which is what engineers do with artificial intelligence, well, the question is, maybe we can, instead of billions of years, we can do it, what, in thousands of years or in hundreds of years? So that's the question, yeah? So I don't know the answer to that.
What happens if it goes to a bad hand, a bad people, AI tools? Of course, we are developing it with all the good intentions, with all the good collaboration globally, and all the discussion. Everything is perfect, fine. But what everything is which has power, we are developing it for good intention. The same thing could be used for the bad also, and
Well,
that means
it's used. Yeah? It is used for bad use as well. Yeah?
yeah.
So you cannot avoid that, because there are always people who are not good, and that's actually that is also one of the biggest issues with artificial intelligence, because it is very democratized technology. It's very accessible. Of course, if you want to do huge things like generative AI, you still need a huge amount of capacity, computational capacity. But imagine that goes down, with over the years, and instead what takes now 10 months in computation, then maybe takes a few weeks, and it becomes accessible. Even also the infrastructure for, let's say, criminals, then it is indeed a big problem. And it is already a problem. Yeah, the phishing is getting more and more sophisticated because of artificial intelligence. And that's a constant, almost arms race, between the good and the bad. And so also, well, AI is abused for cheating a lot of people. There is also a lot of, let's say, people who try to avoid that abuse.
I think probably countries can agree for fixing for collaborating to make policy to contain the wide bad impacts, which has very high impact, and that at least I expect from countries, that they can at least agree for regulating the very high impact AI use cases.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, that at least we can take determinate action to those things.
And what are your opinions on EU AI Act? Means, how do you see it? Is it quite complete to regulate AI in current scenario? We need more improvement on EU Act.
Well, I think it's a very good step forward. Yeah, it's a good step. It's the first AI, one of the first AI regulations so broad, and that's a very positive thing. And I think here it's better to do something than to be perfect. Yeah, of course there are many things that could be improved, and on the other hand, we also have to see how it works in practice, how difficult it is or how easy it is. So I think that is all very good. Yeah. So the AI Act looks about AI systems and their potential harm or impact on society, people, and even climate, and tries to avoid those bad impacts. Yeah. But the big things that we discussed about, the divide between the rich and the poor, that is not really tackled in the regulation, because it goes way beyond, let's say, a technological regulation. It is related to more the economy, yeah? How we want to have the global economy work, even if there is regulation on technology and it will help to steer AI in the good direction. There are still a lot of issues that are not tackled within that regulation.
And how do you see different acts from in different countries? Like in USA, it's like mainly couple of big companies are dominating, and they are quite powerful, and then they are also behind putting the values and all kind of ethics in the algorithm, and at the same time they also have probably some saying on the act which is imposed by their government. And in EU it's mixed with government and with companies, both have some saying in that. And that's different in China, for example. Their government has more regulation, more centralized. So how do you think we can sync up there? Because if every country have different priorities, so for one country is if it technology should go fast, and safety is a bit lower in priority, and for other countries like European countries, safety should be taken in a balance with the technological advancement. How we can sync up there? Because even if rules are enacted in different countries or different regions in different way, eventually I see it breaking down after some period, when one country or some countries will go far in the technological advancement because of the less safety rules, and then the other countries who opted for more safer AI adoption, they will also feel forced in order to match with the technological progress. I see that probably the rules will then get modified finally.
This is the classical difference between the US approach, the European, and the Chinese approach to regulation. I don't agree that regulation is the barrier to being best with AI. I mean, there was no European regulation on AI. Yeah? There is still no regulation on AI. And look, all the AI things are happening in the US. So if there comes a regulation now, I mean, the difference is already there, and not because of regulation. It's because of mindset, it's because of risk aversion, it's because of availability of venture capital. Europeans are more theoretical and they do great things, but then they want to do the next great thing, yeah, rather than, I'm exaggeration and generalizing, but the US mentality is more, if I build something in research, let's bring it to the market, yeah. And if I fail, it's a positive thing and I learn. If you fail in Europe, you're a failure, yeah, and you're dismissed. So there are many reasons why Europe is not on the forefront of AI in technology, and regulation might be one of them, but definitely it's not the only one. Also, if you look at the US and European approaches, they are different, but they both value human rights. The difference is that in the US, they think, well, it's the companies themselves that should take care of that, and if there's a problem, they should solve the problem. And in Europe, it's more, well, the government defines how it works. And if you don't comply, then you're getting fined. Yeah? But it's not that one wants to respect human rights and the other doesn't want. They both want, but they do it in a different way. And then there might be not a balance between what are the most important fundamental rights. Yeah? Fundamental rights. So in the US, free speech is very important. Yeah? The liberty of saying whatever you want. And therefore, social network platforms have no obligation to filter the content originally, because it's not their responsibility. You have to be able to say whatever you want. Anybody can say whatever you want. Whereas Europe, it's not only free speech. Free speech is also important, but that it's balanced with things like dignity or harm, etc. So sometimes all the things are important. So it might be a different balance, but it's all human rights. And take into account that the US is getting more and more into regulation. Yeah? It's already that companies need to fulfill with certain things, even though they can define themselves how to do it, but it's an obligation. So I think while there are differences, they're also coming more together, Europe and the US, and especially as opposed to the Chinese approach. Yeah. Which is also about governance interference. Yeah? So therefore, the European one and the Chinese one, to some extent, they are also similar, because it's all about governments making rules which then have to be followed by companies. Europe is based on human rights, and the Chinese one is based on, let's say, the objectives of the political party that rules. And they want to avoid social unrest. Yeah? So there are different principles behind. Yeah? But so I think it's not as easy to say there's no regulation in the US. There is a bit of regulation in government regulation in Europe, and there is a lot of only regulation in China because of the government. I think they are influencing each other, they're looking at each other, but of course there are fundamental differences, but there are also many fundamental commonalities.
Let's see how it evolve. And currently we see a lot of AI tools or technologies which are coming. They are mainly used for from the commercial point of view, for the business point of view, and very few of them are used for social good, or let's say for purely AI for good purposes. Is there a way to balance this? Then this approach is going to balance the outcomes also. So how to increase AI for good use cases in companies? Means should government give some tax relief or some other kind of policies are required for companies based on its good impact, medium impact, or not so good impact? How do you have any opinion on this?
Well, indeed, if you look at the development of AI and applications, it's business driven. Yeah? Companies are investing huge amount of money in this technology because they have it and because they see there are huge opportunities with this technology. Yeah? It's all driven by economic impact. Now, if you look at for instance, the Sustainable Development Goals, no poverty, no hunger, fair work for everybody, etc. There is no direct profit on that if you work on solving those problems with artificial intelligence or other technologies. So there is less incentive from the private sector to do that. Of course, some companies do something because they want to do it, and it's good, yeah, to have a positive impact. But between that and between actually solving a problem, that is really a big problem. Yeah? So AI for good. Many AI for good today has no business ecosystem. There are some AI for good as well. They do have, like for instance, health and agriculture. There is a lot of good things happening with AI in those sectors, and there is actually a business. Yeah? Companies invest in that because they see a return. But there are also many other aspects that are related to the Sustainable Development Goals. They don't create direct profit, and those things don't happen. They only happen because there are governments or there are philanthropists like foundations, McGovern, Bill Gates. So those foundations spend huge amounts of money on those things, yeah, because businesses are not. And governments they might want to do it, but they're not mature enough in technology to actually make it happen and take it into account. But that will change hopefully in the future. So that's my perspective. There is huge amounts and the big problems, huge amount of opportunity with AI for good, big problems that needs to be solved, but we are lacking structural and, let's say, sustainable financing for those initiatives to happen.
Yeah, and government play a big role in that. Government have to support those AI for good companies. Then that's the only way out I can see from here.
Okay.
Yeah, it was very nice to have you here on my podcast. And from today's discussion, I learned a lot of new things. I get to know what are the big problems, like the divide between rich and poor, or the balance or all the stability in the world in between different countries or different regions are going to change, and that's one of the problem for which we do not see a direct solution as of now. And for some for other problems which we discussed, that could be solved in the coming years. But yeah, there are something for which we have to just wait and see how governments of different countries react to that, and how much and how they plan to proceed forward together rather than as a separate entity, like a separate country. Because on philosophical level, issue lies there, seeing themselves as a separate entity rather than seeing them as a part of the global community. And any final words or any final thing you want to share?
No, I think we had an interesting conversation and spoke about many opportunities and many challenges with this interesting technology. So, nothing to add to that. Thank you.
You are welcome.